All right, we're given the graph of a trigonometric function, either sine or cosine. We want to find the amplitude, midline, and period of this function. So as we get going on this, let's start with the midline. The midline, we're looking for a line that cuts right through the very middle of this graph. So the midline can be computed, it's kind of like taking the average of the highest value we attain and the lowest value that we attain. So to get that average, what we want to do is we want to take 1 plus a negative 9 and divide it by 2. So that's going to be negative 8 divided by 2, which works out to be a negative 4. So we could say y equals negative 4 is going to be our midline. I'm going to draw it in here real quick so we can take a look at negative 4. Goes right across here. Hopefully it looks like there's an equal amount of the graph above and below this midline that I've drawn in. Next up, the amplitude. We can do that a few different ways. I'll do it algebraically, first of all. The amplitude, you can take the highest value, 1, for a y value, and then you could subtract away the very lowest value and divide it by 2. So our lowest value is at negative 9. This will work out to be adding these two together. So we get 10 divided by 2 equals 5. And technically, that always has to be a positive. So even if you got a negative overall value, what you'd want to do is make sure that's going to be a positive. And what that tells us is going from that midline to the very top, the very highest point, this would be 5 units in between. And the same thing going from the midline to the very bottom. Now with this type of problem, you can also kind of make it a counting problem if you don't want to fill into the formula. But really you just take the highest value minus the lowest value and do a subtraction. All right, next up, let's find the period of this function. So the period of this function is just how long it takes before it starts repeating itself. So we could look at this two different ways. We could either start here at the y-axis, and then that's going to go up all the way down and then come back to the middle right here before it starts repeating itself. So we can make it kind of a counting problem. Looks like that took 4 units going from left to right. The other way, and sometimes this is a little bit easier, is instead of thinking about it with sine, what you can do is you can make it a cosine function and look at the very peaks. All right, so from the very top here, that occurs at 1. The next time we get to the very top is going to be at 5. Again, that's 4 units total between beginning and ending. So hopefully this helps out as you're trying to calculate midline, amplitude, and period when you're given a function.